This is legendary.
Wow. I'm playing everyone's skate today. Thanks, Flair. Low-key cold, and I meant to bring a better jacket. Let's play a game of skate, Heath. Get him while he's hurt.
Get him while he's down?
Yes.
You got 4 cuts in the stomach.
I'm 100% winning that game.
I can remember my childhood room wall, and it was so many Atiba photos. Transworld era sepia toned with the like rough edges.
That's for Atiba.
From fucking he to Muska to Jamie Thomas to fucking whoever else, dude, he's got them all.
Yeah, Atiba.
By the time I came in the game, he was already a brand name. He was already like a Mercedes-Benz, you know, like.
That looks insane, Atiba. That looks insane, Atiba.
I mean, people know him just by his first name.
Naoma Atiba.
Yeah, I mean, everyone just likes Atiba. That's like his thing.
No, act like you don't know I'm filming. It'll be artsy.
He has an ability to bring people together. I took him to see the Michael Jackson musical with Tyshawn.
This dude shoots like actual athletes, you know what I mean? Like fucking Kobe Bryant and shit. He's in the fucking video games when you're younger.
He's in the mix. You know, he gets down in the streets and he shoots celebrities and...
Oh yeah, I was with the Edge, you know. Oh yeah, me and Flea were over here, like.
Atiba's, to me, like an omnipresent force. I don't even know how he does it.
We're waiting for the guy to burn out. He's like kissing 50 at this point, and it's like, what the fuck, dude?
That was wrapped. That was wrapped. Atiba's energy is something, yeah, I can't even comprehend, and I'm his twin brother.
He's the top of the mountain, like, he's the beacon.
Hello, welcome back to Epically Latered. We are here at Atiba Jefferson's house. I'm always in awe of this place. It's sort of like a skate frat house, but also a skate museum. I'm gonna go and just say right now, Atiba's the most important and most accomplished photographer ever in skateboarding. His photos and his like skill is gotta be unparalleled. I think of his like days at Transworld, like defining Transworld of just like, if you saw an Atiba photo, it was sharp, in focus, perfect colors, the coolest dudes. And then of course his work moving on into basketball, rock and roll photography, hip hop, and then to now where he is like a celebrity in his own right. It's almost like there's a disconnect between how like legendary his skate photos are and how like goofy and funny and nice he is as a person. And I can't help but also sometimes feel a little jealous, like, man, how does he get it done? Atiba's just always shooting, always socializing, always out fucking DJing, giving lectures, doing his work with the Watts Community Center. Atiba's always doing something. So I'm really excited to get to know Atiba. I'm excited he even did this with us. So here it is, the Atiba Jefferson episode.
We're on a treasure hunt right now. Mike Maldonado, Ollie. Here's an OG Greco photo. Bob, I shot a lot with Bob. Muska, peak Muska phase. I'm from Manitou Springs, Colorado. I have an identical twin brother, which I haven't even brought up.
What's our names?
Our names are Akko and Atiba Jefferson. I'm the older brother. I mean, honestly, I think it's a thing for him. It isn't for me. But he is the little brother, so. We were inseparable. I got into skating first. Akko got the first skateboard and we would share it. You know, we grew up super poor. We grew up food stamps, government housing, canned food drive. We were working at the Mexican restaurant as busboys. I saved up enough to buy a cab, used cab. I think I got like 80 bucks in street styles. As soon as we started, we were putting our wheels in the crack, learning how to ollie. At the same time, we were introduced to punk rock and hip hop through these older skaters that were really cool.
We grew up in the same town and there weren't that many skateboarders, so all of a sudden he shows up with Akko, ready to skate. And I was like, I gotta hang out with these guys. And he loved hardcore, so right away started talking about that.
Joshua's a photographer, and he just inspired me. He always had his camera with him.
Well, I was shooting already. I was shooting some skate and shows and stuff like that, and Atiba was psyched.
This is my first skate photo. That's Josh Wildman.
I think on one of his first skate photos, I was ollieing a bike, And he took it and like, he was like, look, I made the skate photo. It was like, I was pretty psyched. Well, this little dude's going for it.
I took a photo class in high school and it was over. When I saw a black and white print made, it was over. That was like, I love this so much and I want to learn more about it.
He was so hyped on photography. Like it was, and like with no purpose. There wasn't like, oh, someday I'm gonna buy a Cadillac or something weird with it. It was just like, oh my God, you can take pictures. I can do this.
When I was 16, I was really lucky to get a job at a skate shop. That changed everything. That was my first introduction into the industry.
I used to do sales at Transworld. So I called BC Surf and Sport one day and asked to speak to Atiba, and we became fast phone friends. And then one day he let me know about his photography aspirations. And so I connected him with Grant. They started talking.
I get the secretary up front. It's like, there's Atiba Jefferson on the phone. And so I took his call and I go, hey, what's up? And we started talking about photography. And I remember him saying, you don't mind me calling? I go, no, I've got time right now.
I would straight just torture Grant. And I would started sending him photos and he would tell me what's wrong with them. And this I thought was a cover for sure. Gnarly trick though. This was a big pivotal time for me. There was a phone call and it was someone from Big Brother and they were like, hey, Josh Beagle and Ronnie Krieger are coming to town. They need a tour guide to show them skate spots. I was like, oh yeah, I got this. Josh was always like, you should come to California and visit. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that, like in a month.
Josh Beagle would always go out on the road and then invite some stranger to come stay with him. And one of these strangers one time was Atiba. Atiba flew in. He's just like, yeah, I don't know, it's this kid from Colorado who wants to shoot photos for Transworld, so he's coming out. We're gonna pick him up.
They picked me up from John Wayne Airport and they took me to like this shitty curb cut.
I think he was coming out thinking we were gonna go like shoot some epic photos somewhere. But instead we got off the plane knowing he wanted to shoot these photos and took him to just like a neighborhood curb that we noticed was waxed up. And just like, yeah, this is how skating is in California. This is what we skate.
They were such shits. Not just to me, just everything. Specifically Heath. He didn't take anything serious.
You know, skateboarding was not taken that serious. There wasn't a lot of money, there wasn't shoe deals, there wasn't clothing sponsors, it was just boards. And you just fuck around with your friends. And
I went back from that trip in December and I was like, Akko, I'm moving to California.
One day Atiba calls me and says, hey, me and my brother, we're driving out.
This was a big deal. We got a U-Haul, I had a bug, we put it on the back, and we went to Oceanside because I was like, this is where Transworld is.
They had a place to rent in Oceanside. I mean, they had it down. They had it together. You know, most people come out and, you know, you get a Jamie Thomas, they come and sleep in the bushes.
I got Akko a job as Ted Newsom's assistant, which was a huge break for us. So I get a job at Transworld before Atiba.
He didn't really fit for the size of the magazine at that time, so we could give him like a photo here and there, but like nothing that could actually pay him to have a place to live or do much more.
Swift had connected me with Mike Ballard, and I got this job as a filmer for the end of Rolling Thunder. But then after the video was done, I didn't have a job.
It wasn't a real job, you know? So he calls me one day and he says, hey, can I get a reference? I'm gonna apply at 7-Eleven out in San Marcos. And I'm like, wait.
We convinced the boss, Brian Selstrom, that, hey, this guy Atiba can come in, he can shoot photos, he can be Grant's assistant, he can film the video. And then from that, it was like, well, okay, we'll start him out.
My role turned into, hey, when Swift is shooting something, go film it. I was always the person who was like, I'll do that. Dave and Grant were kind of at a period in their life where if it wasn't happening in San Diego, they weren't really doing it.
He started to drive to LA and meeting up with people like that, and he became friends with Costa.
He came up to my apartment. That's also when you didn't have any idea what you're gonna go do to film. It was like, all right, this dude's coming up. Like, I'm gonna go film something. I gotta try to get something for this Transworld video.
So this is 95 when I met Eric, and I filmed him first part in Uno.
You all right?
Yeah. He was one of the first skaters that I felt like was rich. They could eat at like, you know, California chicken cafe where I was like, dude, we gotta just hit Boston Market.
Dude was going out on at least 3 sessions a day. Like one part of the day he was with the Rhythm Planet Earth guys, you know, the next time of the day he was with Heath, and then later on at night he was with Jeremy Klein, you know, so he was always like just going.
I ran out of tape, we're sorry. I was such a shitty filmer, but it started to be one of those things where I was like, I'd just rather shoot a photo. My first cover is 96, Jeremy Klein. And the crazy thing is I shot it and I didn't light it good. And they were like, you just need to go back. So I had to have Jeremy go back.
I actually really loved that cover. And what's funny about that cover is Transworld used to make this thing called Transworld Business, which is like, if you're on the cover of that, I mean, who cares, right? But they said, yeah, it's for Transworld Business. You have to reshoot it again. Ted Newsom was in there and he kind of spilled the beans that it was going to be on the real cover. And then I was really excited and happy because I thought that would be a good cover, actually.
I look at that, I'm still proud of that picture. I was probably 19 when I shot that.
His photography got better and better, and he was hooking up with the right people.
Right when I was kind of just first turning pro and getting started was the same time he was like getting his first jobs at Transworld and moving to California. I was moving to California. So we basically started at the same time on our career and have just been doing it the whole entire time. He's confident that he's gonna get it, like to the point where it's almost like a joke. I'm like, if I do it once, that's all I'm gonna do it. And he's like, dude, what? You know what I mean? He's like, you know I got it. What do you mean?
That's enough of that.
Yeah, Atiba was young and hungry and looking to shoot the best skaters, so he just called everyone up and said, hey, I'm in town, let's shoot. I actually went to the triple set with Atiba twice.
The Jeremy Ray triple set ollie, I saw that and was like, wow. First of all, it was something I thought was impossible, and the way it's shot really just illustrated like the scale of it, and I don't know, I thought it was like just such an epic skate photo.
Jeremy Ray, shooting with him was honestly when I felt like I really had leveled up. For me, the difference between when I started like noticing making money, because you could sell ads, and that was the hustle.
You think this shit's all fucking money, cash, hoes?
The whole time I'm still not thinking it's a career. And it was then, which, you know, was a couple of years into working for Transworld, I was like, wow, I could do this.
It didn't take long for you to see a photo and not have to look down in the corner for you to know that it was an Atiba photo.
Suddenly it was like, oh, he's right among the top tier of photographers.
Shooting with Tony Hawk was always a huge honor. And that really happened when I got invited to shoot the bull ring.
I told the dudes at Transworld about it, and they were busy, and so they sent Atiba.
Tony had tried the loop twice before.
It had never been done. No one had built an actual loop like that.
He did the loop pretty easy. And I remember just being like, wow, that was like one of the first times where I felt like I was the one to capture history.
I mean, that loop photo, that to me is timeless. Like that was my first proper loop. And Atiba got the shot. He killed it.
Here's that Tony bull ring.
I think where Atiba changed skate photography is bringing the medium format in and the Hasselblad. I mean, he went out and got a Hasselblad and a fisheye, and then everybody had to get Hasselblads and fisheyes.
Atiba with his new toy.
He's responsible for all of us getting that fucking fisheye. You know, I feel like he was probably the first dude shooting with a fucking X-Pan. He was like the dude shooting with the Hassi fisheye. He's been real influential to everybody.
I didn't invent bringing Hasselblad into skateboarding, but I was the one person to like go, this is gonna be my camera. That's what set me, I think, apart from other skate photographers.
Atiba was like the skate photographer I looked up to. He was experimenting with shit. He was shooting X-Pan photos and Hasselblad photos and cross-processing shit and printing black and white negatives and color darkrooms and shit that at the time I had no idea how he was getting these looks and achieving these photos. But at the time I'm just looking through a Transworld being like, that looks insane, Atiba. That looks insane, Atiba.
I moved to LA, it's the end of '99. I was really getting into basketball photography at this point, And I got the opportunity to assist Laker team photographer, Andy Bernstein. I learned about high-speed sync, leaf shutters, medium format because of Andy, because they were using that stuff to shoot basketball. I took what I learned from skating, brought it into basketball. And then I took what I learned from basketball, brought it into my skating.
Dude, he got to shoot Jordan, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, LeBron. He ended up shooting everybody. One time we got to shoot Kobe, and this was a shoot for Slam, and it was gonna be a cover. And he's like, dude, I'm shooting Kobe. And I'm like, dude, you gotta get me on there. How do we do this? Like, I'm your assistant, whatever we gotta do. We just were dorks, and we're like able to creep our way in because of Atiba.
I remember always having to make hard decisions. I mean, I remember Heath and Jeremy, I kept missing their fire scene because I was doing some basketball stuff. I just was also getting a taste of making a lot more money by doing this commercial stuff. And I was like, oh, I love it, and it pays 10 times as much.
Do your job, I'll do mine. Bitch.
I feel like he loses money skating. I'm like, if this dude were to not shoot another skate photo and focus on these other things, he would probably make a lot more money.
He's not doing it for money, he just loves to do it. It's nice the money comes with it, but he's doing it because he loves documenting things that he loves and respects.
He was always pushing the boundaries of grab something, try it, figure it out. And I think Atiba always took a lot of his inspiration outside of skateboarding and saw what was possible and brought it into skating.
Are we best friends, Ty?
BFF.
Forever.
When you're going out filming, you're filming like with professional skateboarders, and there's etiquette, and there's, you know, you want to document these things, right? But then there's a lot of downtime. Atiba and I would always film each other, and we'd always have an ongoing joke, like, wait till my video part comes out. And we would always say that to each other, right? So Chomp started almost as like this fun thing between the photographers and filmers and our friends.
Say something to start off your section. I am not gonna have a section. I'll see, that just started it right there.
Chomp on this was a fucking joke. Chomp on this is not even supposed to be talked about.
Let me see that.
Chomp on this was the first video that I ever saw. My mom got it for me, and yeah, I remember watching it and just being like, these dudes suck.
Chomp on this, those are great times.
This is Atiba Jefferson, and you're gonna chomp on this.
Those guys are like starting to get clips, like they were starting to like actually acquire footage. Then it evolved to more people, you know, and then Akko would be on the session too. And
again, it was super innocent, like we were all just having fun, but it was like, we were pushing each other in such a good way, where it was like, Wednesday, let's go get a clip, like I'm working at home, like fuck it, let's go skate, like.
It was sick to like see those guys push themselves and like them go through the stresses of like what it's like to film a video part. It was cool to just be on the other side.
I think it was great for other skaters to get outside of their comfort zone. You know, Jamie Thomas, skating the Master P. I don't think a lot of people knew how gifted Costin was as like someone who has fun on a skateboard.
Me personally, I've made so many skate videos that I put my heart and souls into, you know, where Chomp was such a free spirit.
It's a hematoma.
I think that's why it resonates with so many people.
Yeah, Chomp on this was like such a huge video for all of us. I guess maybe part of it was that it was like these guys kind of skating in a relatable way because they were like filmers and photographers mostly, and then they were also surrounded by like all our fucking like absolute favorite pros.
That was tight, cuz.
Seriously, people sweated that video harder than like most videos that came out at that time.
Chomp on that. Chomp.
I was hanging around those guys a lot during that time.
Boy, he's the most coolest guy ever.
Paul's the most coolest guy ever.
That's my intro picture.
For me in that time, it was like, if I can get a photo with Atiba, or if I could ever film with Ty Evans, then I'm in the game, you know? You know, meeting Atiba was like, you know, the same impact as meeting one of my favorite pro skaters, you know?
My attitude is fucked up in real, you know. That's why I like to do nothing but chill.
I think Atiba has transcended just his photography in that people really know him as a person and a character and an influencer. I mean, you know, like it or not, he's an influencer. So when we first were working on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, when it came time to start adding special characters, they said, well, we want to get a photographer. I was like, Atiba.
It's fucked up because they didn't use my voice.
Did he tell you about his voice?
If I remember right, they just didn't like my voice. But it's all hazy and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But I swear I did voiceovers.
When he did his voiceovers, he just couldn't do the lines like they needed him to. It just didn't sound that convincing. So they got someone else to do his lines.
They just had a stock black dude.
It's Atiba's face and body with a very dope voice.
Hey, if you want to open up some new places to skate, try talking to some of the guys with the arrows over their heads.
Dude, let me get fro footy, dude. Don't even get bumps. Check it out. Flow with it. See how big that thing is. Dip it down. Yeah.
The way that I ended up leaving Transworld was because Dave and Grant were leaving Transworld. They're the dudes who I owe my start to. So for them to leave Transworld, I was like, I'm out too.
The AOL disc ended up in the magazine, and I think that was the last straw.
Dave and Grant really wanted to do something that was just like owned by skaters for skaters. They wanted Akko to come as the graphic designer. So for me, I was excited because it was a way for me to work with my brother. But it also was like stressful getting involved in the business side.
The skateboard magazine kind of got a little dysfunctional once media changed.
The internet was happening. Thrasher had become a juggernaut.
Everything was changing. So we were having a time of how do we change? We didn't have the money because again, we're starting to lose ads.
It's hard when you have a lot of partners.
We had 7 partners, which we were kind of warned not to have that many partners.
For me, it just had ran its course. It had sold to the barracks, and it wasn't the same. I didn't feel like I needed to work for a magazine, but I wanted to reach out to Thrasher. To me, that was the first subscription I had. The Vitello family has always been so nice to me.
Tony and I both always loved Atiba. And I was so excited. Like, I've never been that excited at like the prospect of like somebody joining like the crew.
You know, the NorCal SoCal beef, it was real for sure. Fausto was super sweet to me. I was with Bob Burnquist in San Francisco. I'm with Bob, he's like, oh, I gotta stop into Thrasher for a second. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's not a good idea. He's like, what do you mean, dude? It's fine. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Fausto's in the office. He's like, hey, let me show you around, literally. And I'm just waiting till we get to Phelps. I'm just like, any second now, Phelps is gonna be around the corner. And let's show you Jake's office. And Jake looks at me and he looks at Fausto and he goes, you know who the fuck that is? He's like, huh? He's like, that's Atiba from fucking Transworld. Get him the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you gotta understand, back then it was like cutthroat. And Jake reveled in that stuff.
The word Thrasher is so much more than the skateboard mag or Transworld skateboarding. It's like, it's just corny. It's corny to me.
In sports, there's always that team you play against, and then you move to join that team. I've always had nothing but respect for Burnett and Thrasher. So when I was able to work for them, it was great.
You get one more. That's it. All right. Yeah.
One of my biggest struggles is like, when is it enough? When do you call it quits? I think I only have 2 maybe legendary pictures. Reynolds, the frontside flip with all the people, and Tyshawn's kickflip.
I mean, it was something I always knew I was gonna do and wanted to do, and it just kind of like aligned coincidentally. Like, I was downtown one day and he was in New York.
I just happened to be there for a commercial shoot. I didn't even have my flashes. I didn't even have a fisheye.
He was like, I don't have flashes, I don't have this now, I have to borrow it. So like, if you're serious, let's get it done.
We went there, it was like a huge crew, and Tyshawn brings like all his fucking friends with him. So it's like, fucking 15 other people, half of them don't skate, they're just there for the hype.
We get down there, we had to jump the turnbuckle. I'm I'm too old to be breaking all these laws.
We stayed there from maybe 1 a.m. to 7 in the morning.
I was trying not to climb down the train tracks. I know about the third rail because of the movie Warriors. I don't want to die for this shit. So I'm trying to hold my camera out, and I'm just like, this is not working. So I jump down. He's like, there's no trains coming until morning. And I see the light, so I'm like, you motherfucker.
As he's trying it, this train pulls up and it sits there and you can't skate it.
The train stayed for maybe 45 minutes, but they were cool. They were just like, we can't leave for 45 minutes.
And then it's like, hey, it's back on, jump back down.
It was a bus towards the end when a cop came down and was like, what the fuck are you guys doing down here?
It's a very fucked situation. The whole thing is a jam up.
We went upstairs.
And then we stayed outside and just hung outside for hours.
And it was just like, dude, you either come back fucking tomorrow or we go back down and try it again. And we went back down and the cop didn't come down and he ended up doing it.
And literally the one he made was the perfect photo. You know, as a photographer, I really felt like I finally made a moment that will live forever in skateboarding.
Personally, my favorite is the black cover. For me, growing up skateboarding, in black community, it was not a easy hurdle to get over, you know? So it's to see every person that I know had to go through that same hurdle, you know, to not care what anyone thinks, just I care about skateboarding, this is what I want to do, and strive in spite of that was just cool. It just felt like oh wow, we have this, it's something I could show my kids.
I got a call from Tony Vitello and Mike Burnett, and they wanted to do a whole issue around black skateboarding. The black experience in skateboarding, the history of black skateboarding, and it was an amazing opportunity because they wanted me to curate it, which was a huge honor. From moving to California in '95, you know, I did so much time with Kareem, Keenan, but on this session, there'd only maybe be a couple people of color. And now I can go on this session, and it could be Jolly who's filming, Ashad, Ish, Robert Neal, Nakel, Tyshawn, and maybe one other white person. So you've seen it change and grow, and I've been along for the whole ride.
A lot of melanin out today, boy. See it? You see it? You see it?
The melanin.
How bad do you want the line, Atiba?
I'll do it first, go.
Right here? Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
He's just a fan of skateboarding, he's a fan of every single sports team in the USA. Whatever team's winning, that's the team that Atiba likes. As soon as they win, he posts that shit yo, Patrick Mahomes is the homie, fucking whatever, congrats on the win.
He always kind of brags about beating P-Rod at skate. It was a long time ago, but he makes it well known.
He beat you at skate?
He did, yeah, he did. He beat me at skate, and it just so happened to be, my friend was filming it, and we put it up on YouTube, so every time, look it up on YouTube, dude, it's there,
Hey, dude, we're putting that on YouTube, and it's gonna, oh, man, yeah!
He just does these slow little whack frontside pressure flips and stuff like that.
I'm gonna start playing cheap.
Plays a little dirty. Yeah, he makes exceptions for himself.
No. Atiba's tactic is that he goes really slow. He's hardly moving. He might as well be in a crack.
He happens to be the slowest moving skateboarder I've ever seen in my life, but he's still very talented.
Wow, we're using that. That's in the video.
You know when Tom Hanks in Big, he turns big and then he gets that apartment and it's just filled with toys basically? That's kind of what his house reminds me of. He's modern day Tom Hanks in Big.
He's stuck in perpetual boyhood. Yeah, I mean, Atiba's whole life is really teenage. He's curated it perfectly where he's just here's my shit. I want a bunch of fucking Supreme stuff all around me. I want my Supreme piano and my Supreme dune buggy parked right next to it.
I think he's one of 3 to 5 people that own that like Supreme pinball machine. But you're like a grown man getting Supreme olive oil. Like, that you're not gonna cook with. His DJing is pretty terrible.
No offense, he might be one of the least skillful DJs when it comes to like transitions or anything like that. He loves playing some Mace or some smooth rap, and then just with no warning, Misfits, boom, to like Morrissey, boom, back to like some gangster rap, like with no warning or transition. And he's like, yeah, that we're the Blackouts, man. That's it. It's the Blackouts. Like, damn, that's the vibe.
Get a photo. Get a photo of you and him.
When you actually lay out like what the guy has done as far as like in the world of skateboarding and photography, it's actually pretty mind-blowing. I gotta give him some credit. He's done well for himself.
He's as well known as your favorite skater, and he's outlived most of your favorite skaters as far as his popularity is concerned.
I don't know too many like NBA players that are like giving high fives to photographers. Like Atiba's there with them, being like, what's up? Like, can I take a picture of you with my dog? They're like, hell yeah. And you're like, fuck, kind of, what's going on here?
People get excited, like, oh, I get to shoot with Atiba. Like, they know that it's going to be a connective experience, and I think that's something unique to him.
I don't think he ever set out to accomplish what he's accomplished, and he has accomplished a lot, man. It's the typical story that you hear. Someone comes from somewhere to go on this journey, but a lot of them don't make it. You gotta persevere. You gotta push through it, and Atiba has that drive like no other. I think he's getting older now, but he's still out there. He's still out there doing it.
Fuck the lights. Fuck the generator and fuck you. And you can't use this in the fucking credits.
Why?
Because I'm saying a bunch of fucking cuss words on fucking purpose.
Well, there's lots of cuss words in the last video.
I'm gonna do this on purpose.
So that ain't gonna stop it. T-Bot.
I don't give a fuck. Try and put all these, if you put all these fucking cuss words in the fucking video. Beep.